Okay. Well, welcome and good evening. It gives me great pleasure to be back and to be back in this group, especially as my first time back. I'm Cynthia Shor, the executive director, former executive director, and I've been an active part of this process with Gwen. She initiated this years ago. It was her idea and her energy that saw it through and organized it and brought it to production and fruition. So thank you very much, Gwen, for establishing this scholarship, the Gwenn Nusbaum WWBA Scholarship. I would like to welcome our honoree tonight, Samuel Burt. Congratulations to you. It gives us great pleasure to see you in person after reading your poems. And I don't know about anyone else, but I know when I read poetry, I start to conjure up a vision and a sense of who the person is. And it's always a wonderful joy to meet that person. And it is a joy tonight. So thank you very much for joining us and congratulations. Let me welcome and introduce Caitlyn Shea, our new executive director. She's doing a wonderful job. I'm just hearing over the top reports about events and management and all good things. So congratulations, Caitlyn. I knew you could do it and I knew you will do it. So, but it's wonderful to hear that so soon upon your arrival and managing everything so well. So congratulations to you and thank you. And let me thank Bob. He's part of our scholarship team. He and Gwen and I have been reading the submissions for the past 3 years, and they have worked very hard. We all have worked very hard in various ways to keep this exciting and dynamic. So thank you, Bob, for all your contributions. And Hua, I will say hello and congratulations to you again. You were our first honoree, and it was very exciting to have you be that. And I look forward to hearing more of your work tonight. So welcome and glad you could join us. And Susan, congratulations to you. You were our second honoree. And we're thrilled that you both have time and could make the time to join us tonight. Read your poetry, share some of your own work, perhaps tell us what you've been doing or what you've done with the scholarship. And then we look forward to hearing from Sam, who will give a reading also and share his ideas and his plans, his poetic plans going forward. So thank you all very much. I will turn it over to Caitlyn, and she will proceed as MC going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I'm, of course, just so honored to be here. It's been about 2 months, and it just every day when I come here, I just feel like so inspired with the creative environment that this has always been. And it's great to be with you on Zoom. It's been a while, so yes, and holding down the fort here for sure. So I worked here for 3 years as the events and media director, and just as I was leaving, because I became director at another museum locally, I started planning the scholarship and putting on social media and getting the word out. And I didn't get to see the fruition of it though. So I was so happy to hear that you had won, Hua. And I remember seeing, a lot about you on social media. So I was so happy. It was a lot goes into the scholarship, and a lot of applications come in, a ton. So to be the top of all of those amazing poets is really something huge. So you should celebrate that a lot. Absolutely. And yeah, I read some of the submissions and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a difficult choice, but they clearly made the right choices 3 years in a row. So, so I'm so happy to be here with you all. If you don't know, the birthplace is a place where we have poets, writers, Whitman scholars. We're really welcoming. We're celebrating the spirit of inclusivity that Whitman left us with. And I'm just excited. We're going to have a lot of events coming up. And this is a really important event too. And thank you to Gwen, who started this with us 3 years ago. And we're happy to be continuing that hard work each year. We're already planning for next year. All right, so it is my pleasure to introduce Hua, who was our first ever Whitman Scholarship awardee. Hua Xi is a poet and artist. Their poems have appeared in The Nation, The New Republic, The Atlantic, American Poetry Review, Poetry Daily, and elsewhere. They are currently a Stegner Fellow in Poetry from Stanford. Just welcome, Hua. If you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been working on and read your poems, that would be amazing.
Hi, yeah, thanks for inviting me again. It's great to see you again, Gwen. I'm zooming in from California. You might hear my dog like kind of screaming in the background. I don't know. I tried to get him to be quiet, but it is what it is. Yeah, I just finished my first year at the Stegner, so I have one more year. Mostly just working on, oh, Rainbow, be quiet. Um, Mostly just working on poems. I pretty much finished a draft of my first manuscript, so I think I'll start like editing that, and maybe looking for places to send it out in the future. And should I read something?
Yes, please.
Okay. I had some poems in the Yale Review earlier this week, so I thought I'd just read one of them. This one is called Handfuls. I toss a handful into the air, a handful of non-specific stuff. What is this that my hands are tossing? I'm tossing handfuls of snow into the air. But where am I getting all the snow on a summer's day? It must come from somewhere inside me. I'm tossing handfuls of somewhere everywhere, all the way up into the air, and it's flitting down and amassing atop the immaculate townships. Tin roofs, church steeples, lines of parked cars. Summer is a pure lone mountain. Somehow a winter flowers against an enormous blue loneliness, as a figure wilts far below and wonders, how can snow fall without falling in love? Wherever I go, my furthest thoughts are only billowing. Whatever is buried within me, I keep pulling out in puffs. I hope that when I feel cold, you can feel what I feel, but without feeling any cold. Because I have struggled to do so, I choose to believe that not all sadness comes from somewhere. The sadness that comes from somewhere drifts down and mixes with the sadness that isn't from anywhere. All of us are ordinary people. None of us can escape the difficult nature of being thrown away by a warm afternoon in winter. Okay, thank you for putting up. I know my dog was shouting in the back while I was reading, but maybe that adds to the poem.
Very real. Yes, I like that. Reminds me of during COVID times, we all had that kind of thing going on. But thank you so much. I mean, it's so great to meet you finally and to hear you read. So thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from the second scholarship recipient, Susan Nguyen. Susan's debut poetry collection, Dear Diaspora. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Diaspora won the 2020 Prairie Schooner Book Prize in Poetry, an Outstanding Achievement Award from the Association of Asian American Studies, a New Mexico Arizona Book Award, and was a finalist for the Julie Suk Award. She's the recipient of fellowships from the Arizona Commission of the Arts, the Virginia G. Piper Center for Creative Writing, and the 2022 Stanley Kunitz Memorial Prize from the American Poetry Review. She currently serves as a senior editor of Hayden's Ferry Review. Thank you for being here tonight, Susan. And I'm sure you've been up to a lot in the past year since you were last with us on Zoom. So we'd love to hear about that too.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlyn. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be in this Zoom space again. And while it's great to hear some of your newer work as well. Yeah, it was really wonderful. When I received the scholarship last year, it was, I think, at a really crucial point because I had gotten into a writing residency and I didn't have the funds necessarily on my own to attend. So I found out like at the exact perfect time to be able to actually commit to that residency last summer. Yeah, and since last year, I think, knock on wood, I think I finished my second poetry collection. It feels like it, early stages of it feeling complete. So yeah, I'm kind of starting a new, more experimental hybrid project but it's so new that I can't really speak about it too much yet, just because I don't really know what's happening with it yet. Yeah, so in a good, exciting place right now. Okay, so I will also read a few poems as well. My poems probably similar themes as the ones I read last year, I'm guessing. Still writing a lot about diaspora and family and language, which I think you'll probably see from these poems as well. All right, Murmuration. I wake to starlings on the roof like rain. How they arrived here is still a mystery. Urban legend claims a Shakespeare lover introduced every bird to North America. Watching the dusk swell with their flight, I choose to believe this myth. Twisting and retreating, they move in a continuous mass. We know all it takes is one. The 7 around him follow, and then the 7 around them, until they surge like a wave. When they spiral, it's effortless, like the whirlpools we anchored as children. One kid would start, then 2, then suddenly, wordlessly, it was all of us, walking single file around the kiddie pool, watching the center of the storm. In another place, a starling's murmuration obliterates the sky. Hundreds crescendo above their roosts each evening, then collapse in sleep, migrate to escape cold climate. Mom says I'm like a bird too, the way I leave, then return, then leave. Okay.
All right. Oh, you want to read another one, Susan?
I can, or I can end there.
No, go ahead, please do.
Okay. I just had one more poem, thanks. Okay. When asked why I write poems about my parents, I'm trying to build a bridge, but I am an animal, startled and scared. I startle and scare. The sound dies before it is out of my body. How many ways to say this? I opened my mouth and excelled in some intonations, the others caught in a web, glowing and growing in the breeze, circling its green wing around me. What I wanted to say, but didn't. When my beloved says, don't assume they don't understand, don't care, they are trying, are you trying? I go to unhinge and it wants to jump down my throat. Animal, not a web after all, a metal trap. Inside it, I contend that I was not born in a household of silence, language, a disease. I decided it for myself, tended to it like one tends a garden, no, a carcass. I think I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Wonderful. I'm so happy I get to meet you too and hear your newer poetry as well. So next I'm going to hand things over to Walt Whitman Birthplace Trustee and Scholarship Judge Robert Savino.
Thank you. Thank you, Caitlyn, and good evening to everyone. And what an exciting evening tonight is for all of us. I thank you, Hua and Susan, for reminding us why you were the recipients of the Scholarship Award for the first and second year. Thank you for your poetry. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the third recipient of the Gwenn A. Nusbaum Walt Whitman Birthplace Association Scholarship Award, Samuel Burt. Samuel is a poet and artist from Grinnell, Iowa, 2022 winner of the AWP's Intro Journals Project. Samuel's poems have been featured in Salt Hill, Colorado Review, The Journal, Arc Poetry Magazine, and many more print and digital journals. He holds an MFA from Bowling Green State University, reads for Farmington Journal, and works at the Grinnell College Library. Out of 44 submissions received and reviewed by Cynthia, Gwenn, and I, 7 semifinalists were identified and sent to 2 external judges, Kwame Dawes and Dorian Lux. Unfortunately, at the subsequent meeting, Dorian had a fall and was able to be at the call, as Kwame and I met and ultimately selected Samuel Burt as the winner. A major factor that contributed to Samuel winning this award was his poetry. It hit targeted elements of cadence, form, meter, rhythm, and was thought-provocative and emotional in his presentation of creative imagination. And now it's my pleasure to turn the virtual mic over to Samuel to read some of his work and tell us about his plans for the scholarship. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I think I'll just jump right into some poems, if that's all right. I'm at a bit of a loss for words at this honor. It's so meaningful to be here and to hear from all of you and meet the previous recipients. I'll try to collect my thoughts and have something to say once I've read a few poems. This first piece is called Daniel. Our landscape buckles with the weight of living memory. Hay smoke waxing over it all, the farmhouse sighing in sun, mothballs and cat piss on its breath. Storm winds scrubbing air clean and sweet, carrying a scratch of ragweed to my nose. Invisible insects and their hymns for the days we'd leave behind. I remember how weeds sprang from the red barn's heavy haunches, as green and raw as grasshopper wings gnawing at our bare ankles when we tramped through the unkempt lawn, where moths rose like couch dust and stray kittens pounced. The day we sat stained in window light and leaf shadow, in the attic toasted brown with August heat, dark floorboards torquing beneath floral armchairs, muddy fleece, and lamps bent double. But I can't remember if you ever held me there at the blunt end of summer, while your family stuffed the truck with boxes, frames, the whole of your home. We were young enough to fit side by side on a ladder and peer over that ledge into the corner of the barn where a cat once crept, slept, and never left, the years reducing its body to suggestion, faint and gray, soft and lopsided as driftwood. An impression of a body and what it meant. Too young to understand what it means to be remembered, a part of you now sleeps there too, halfway in the light, as absent, as endless, as the red splash of a barn nail rusting from its doorframe. This next piece is called Dream Only. Before I speak, before long drives or train rides, before the put-off conversations, letters, taxes, oil changes, give me a moment to fold into a graspable shape, to draw myself back together. A nose stiffening at steam and fresh tar, the tongue gathering dew in its down, and my belly beneath a bent arm, hollow with breath. My mother taught me to catalog it all, to feel my anxious heart beating indistinguishably from an angry one. On my cheeks, I found the heat of hunger and of shame. In bone, all this trembling. Question what your body tells you. When you learned to lie, your blood did too. But remember what she said of paper. Be that blank square set before you. Breathe and fold the page into the shape of each moment you've discovered calm. Then, anytime you need, follow the creases back. I am often still that child, without yet words for pain, only hands to bend toward what he loves. The dying cat, the silent table, the father disavowing his prayer. The year we draped our classroom walls in paper cranes, I chose an empty drawer to fill with my own wish. A dozen per night, my lucky flock grew, and by them I measured time. But time passed through my body too, and through the cat's, raising one, burying the other, forcing straight lines from my creased mind, leaving seams beneath the wings. I folded myself into each day, each night unfolding me, as sleep began to teach me where grief would take its place in me. So when this ceaseless earth delivers the day, my mother speaks to me in dream only. I will wake dismantled, lain flat, but I will know my assembly by heart, tracing the old creases along my body as I fold myself together, reciting again these animal sorrows. I have two more slightly shorter pieces if we have time for those. This one is called Aria. I sit under a chewed paper sky, paging through life's catalog of diminishing trust, wondering at the days I spent in love with myself. Was I just featureless with moonlight, my face less caved? Could I bear to hold myself now, beneath less supple light? Oh, to love with the faith of maple seeds, in twirling greetings to unwavering soil. To carry joy through each day like a bundle of lavender, returning smiles of curious delight at its perfumed immensity. Forgive me, blossoms, for slipping into this life as if to fevered sleep, for waking so rarely to days where the warm breath of dawn roots me to the top of a freshly mown hill, as still as the dragonflies, suspended in moments of hope and absent hunger. This last piece I'll read is addressed to my dad, and it's titled Hunter's Moon. Silent at your side, I've soaked my boots in untamed pastures as the moon paled and distant turkeys stoked the croaking fires of morning. I've seen your hands go glossy as candy apples above pails of bloody feathers, felt the firmness of a banded leg, the potential dying in its spur. I've watched geese char against a molten sky, heard the beads of a shotgun pluck at water's skin, muffled by the camouflaged arm you wrapped over my face, when the shot rang from the invisible end of the marsh. Your jacket smelled like moss, like dust and blood, warm as the sunset prying open the crook of your elbow. Now, I wonder, when the earth dims and the sky soaks up its color, would I hear the same music in the unfolding and refolding of the day? Had I never learned, had you never taught me what love demands of gentle hands?
Beautiful, Samuel. And then I hope you collected your words a little bit while you recited. Just give us an idea of like what you're thinking about for the future.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'm so grateful for the support of the foundation as I continue to produce work this next year. Um, you can probably tell from the work that I chose to read, I really draw constantly from nature, and that requires a lot of input. Like I do most of my writing outside and kind of away from all the things that I, do daily. And my main goal for the next year is to just spend as much time in forests and around lakes and rivers as possible. I do really well to write around environments that aren't as impeded by roads and noise as my town. So I'm planning a series of sort of self-imposed writing residencies in my tent around Iowa and around the Midwest. I'm hoping also at some point to make the drive all the way out to New York and visit the birthplace site and maybe attend an event over there. But for the meantime, there's a few state parks that I'm planning to stay at for a week at a time or over weekends, and really just try to get as much of that sort of poetic input as I can in those spaces, and then read and hike and nap to my heart's content, and then from there start working on the poems and see where things take me.
Wonderful. It sounds like you like to loaf in the grass like Whitman. So
Exactly. It's a good fit.
you would appreciate it, I'm sure. All right, and now it's my pleasure to introduce Walt Whitman Birthplace Trustee and the creator of the Gwenn A. Nusbaum and Walt Whitman Birthplace Scholarship Award, Gwenn Nusbaum herself.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I want to just say that I really appreciate, Hua, that you're here. I know that you said you were going to come to support Susan, and I think that community thing is really so important for us as humans, as poets. Susan, I want to congratulate you on what you've been doing with your time and the creation of the second book. What occurred to me was that it might be good to check in with you all, because life is so dynamic, and I think you're creating in wherever you are, whether it's in the forest or it's in your bathtub. I mean, you're creating, and so it might be good to at some point just check in, and maybe we could publish, let the community know about the great things you're doing, and maybe you'll expand your readership that way. And I think I'm saying it this way because, or purchase of your book specifically, because part of what we want to do is support, poets that come, emerging poets who are committed to the excellence of craft, sharing it through teaching, workshops, community gatherings, including readings and seminars. We do offer our library for research, ourselves as mentors, and an administrative staff that's dedicated to implementing this program. We welcome your feedback. We want to improve. We want to keep this dynamic and relevant. So feel free to send us a line. We really value you, your work, and are open to suggestions. So I also just wanted to go back to thank Cynthia for the years of support, helping launch this, receiving this so well, and still being with us tonight. And Robert, you've been with this all along. I really appreciate that. And Caitlyn, we're off to a good start with this. Yeah. And I always feel important to mention Dr. Jack Houlihan and Jeffrey Gould, who have helped fund this, so that we're pretty healthy for several years. And actually, we've been able to raise it to $1,800 for this year and then going forward. So we were just able to do this year, and Samuel, you'll benefit from that. In Leaves of Grass, Walt Whitman opens with the lines of life, immense in passion, pulse, and power. I hear too of poetry, immense in passion, pulse, and power. Whitman was also a great fan of love and reverence for all that lives. I am admiring a poetry driven by love and equally elegy. Love in myriad forms for a multitude of subjects, the self, another, the earth, nature, that which is spiritual, that which is lost, which we mourn, that which may be found again, albeit in another version or form. I'm therefore happy to award to you, Samuel Burt, this 2024 scholarship. I felt your poems were driven not just with a beautiful poetic flow of words and feelings, but also with love. love of self, another, the animal, natural world, loss, elegy, flanking the pulse of love and desire. There were many lines I truly admired, but given I do not know the stages at which poems are published and copyrighted, I will not cite those lines. I'll just note some of my comments while reading your submission. So I wrote, rife with pulsing descriptions, surf against sand, senses awash in memory, indelible traces of love and loss, and the generosity of your narrative giving. I love the animal in you, your ability to identify in this form, so Whitman-esque. I love the accessibility of your inviting language. We look forward to your continued development and coming back next year to share, as Susan has and Hua has, your achievement and growth. And it's with great pleasure that we present this certificate, which has your name on it, Walt Whitman Scholarship, and will be sent to you in mail along with the $1,800 scholarship. And we just want to invite you all back to keep presenting your work and to have a healthy and fruitful writerly summer and year. And we're grateful for the time that we're spending together.
Thank you, Gwen. Beautifully said. And yes, I'm sure you go through these poems and you have all these parts that you appreciate, and it's so great to have that shared with everyone. So I'm so excited for you, Samuel. We will be mailing that soon. And I do hope that the three of you visit, Hua, Susan, and Samuel. I was telling Samuel earlier that yes, we're the birthplace and we have this beautiful house that Whitman's father built, but we also have this beautiful property where I could see all of you being inspired and wanting to write in the grass. And I just hope that you come do that. We'll give you a tour and everything, and we'd love to meet you in person. So thank you for all being here tonight, and congratulations, Samuel. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes,
you.
congratulations.
Congrats again.
Take good care, everybody. Have a good summer.
Thank you.
See you.
Okay. Bye.
We'll adjourn all together and be in touch, and definitely feel free to send us any comments, any feedback, anything that you need. We're really here to support you and just be there for you.
And that book idea, Gwen, that's a good one. We should get
Yeah,
that.
definitely. We'll develop this more. Okay, everybody. I guess we'll say farewell. Be well.
Okay.
Bye bye,
Good
everybody.
night,
night.
all. Good night.
Okay,
Good night.
congratulations.
Good night, everybody. So long. Bye, Samuel.
Bye. Good to meet you.
See you. Bye bye.